Hey guys, what's up? It is I, Mike V. Today we're going to take a look at 5 good games to play when you're visiting the casino. Okay, so we're going to take a look at 5 casino games that are good to play. It's going to be a mixture of both luck and skill based games so that there's something for everybody here. We want games that are a low house edge or a high payback percentage over the long term. So for house edge, you want it as close to zero as possible. For a payback percentage, if you're dealing with machines, for example, you want it close to 100% as possible. And these are long term percentages. So in the short term, of course, with any type of gambling, anything can happen. You can come home a winner, you could lose your shirt, or you can be even. But over the long term of the game and over your lifetime, you will experience this particular house edge. And sometimes it might even be worse due to the fact that some of these games here will be skill based, and if you don't know the basic strategy, then you might actually do worse than optimally. So as you can see here, certain aspects to avoid, I will discuss. Like there's maybe some parts of some of these games that I'm going to list here that should be avoided. You know, certain side bets, and um, and I'll also discuss you the best way to play each of these games to have the lowest house edge or the greatest long term potential to come home a winner. And all of these games here are going to be common to find in the casino. If for some reason you don't see me list your game here, well, I'm only listing 5 games, and there are probably a few more out there that could be mentioned. And I'm only choosing games that are common. You know, they're not just in Vegas, but they're everywhere, or they're not just in what your small local casino out in, I don't know, South Dakota, for example, but they're everywhere. So let's just without further ado, let's get started. Now, first game I'm going to discuss is Baccarat. This is probably the easiest game to play that is on my list here. It's almost like flipping a coin. You're pretty much choosing which hand, player or banker, is going to win. And now, what I mean by player and banker, these are placeholder terms. They are just the names of the hands. And the players don't hold the player hand, and the dealer does not have the banker hand. You can choose which hand is going to be closest to 9, and that's the object of the game. I won't go on for all these games I'm listing. I'm not going to go through the rules in detail. I will list, of course, the house edge for each of these bets here. So for the player bet, if you bet on the player and the player wins, the house edge is 1.24% typically. This assumes 8 decks for a Baccarat game. For the banker bet, it's a bit lower. It's 1.06%. Banker bets that are won will typically the house will typically charge a 5% commission fee, and that is because the banker wins more than 50% of the time. So it's not a perfect coin flip, of course, but due to that fact, there is a commission charge. Otherwise, the casino customer will have a massive advantage on the player bet if that commission wasn't charged. So the best strategy here is obviously bet on banker every time. Avoid the tie bet or the pair bet. So obviously the most common bet you'll see at a baccarat table, the most common side bet is the tie. It has a house edge of over 14%. Don't play it. Some baccarat tables may have a player pair or a banker pair, which wins if the hand of the player or banker is a pair. I think it's typically the first 2 cards. I don't usually make this bet because it has over a 10% house edge itself. You will usually find this bet on online gambling sites more so than at the live casinos, but they might have them in brick and mortar casinos as well. And as I said earlier, the best strategy, because the banker bet has a lower house edge, you should optimally just bet on banker every time. But most baccarat players don't play this way. Because of that, it's okay if you want to switch it around a bit. The player bet isn't that much, uh, the house edge isn't that much higher. But as long as you're playing just those two bets, you will enjoy a low house edge and probably a good chance of winning. Pretty good for a game that's pretty much based on total luck, and it's better than most other luck based games such as slots or roulette. So here I'm just showing you an example layout that I found on a Baccarat table. So there are betting spaces for the player, the banker, and one for tie as well. So all right, we'll go ahead into the next game. Obviously, I didn't go through the rules for Baccarat, how it actually works. I will, if you guys want to request a video on it, I can make one. Some of these games I do have videos on, and this was another example. Ultimate Texas Hold'em. This one's an interesting one. So this is one of the newer games that came out since the year 2000, right around that time. So I guess it isn't really new anymore. It's been around for nearly 20 years at least, maybe a little bit less than that. I don't know exactly, but it's one of the more popular ones. I've seen it in nearly every casino, so it deserves a spot on this list. And it actually, the house advantage isn't that bad at all. Actually, it's pretty competitive if you know the strategy, of course. So similar to standard Texas Hold'em poker, but played against the dealer. So you get two hold cards, and there's 5 community cards. The dealer also gets two hold cards, but the players play individually against the dealer, not against the other players like you would see in a typical poker game. So yeah, Ultimate Texas Hold'em is played against the dealer only. So all you have to worry about is your hand and what the dealer has. So the game has opportunities to raise your bet during the hand. So you make an ante and a blind bet to begin with of equal value. You get your cards, and then you can choose to raise up to a specific amount, multiple of your bet, depending on when you do it. The earlier you do it during the hand, the more you're allowed to bet. So you could do it pre-flop, on the flop, or by the river. And we're actually going to go through an example hand after I explain more here. So the element of risk. What does the element of risk mean? Well, it's like the house edge, except that it takes into account all the bets made during the hand, so it includes the raises. The house edge for Ultimate Texas Hold'em, according to the wizardofodds.com, I've used them as a source here. They listed as like 2.5%. That only takes into account the ante bet. So element of risk basically just includes your how often that a player would raise based on a particular strategy, and that brings it down to around 0.5%, 0.526 with optimal strategy, and 0.58% if you use the strategy that's on the Wizard of Odds website, which I'll go over soon. Right now, the perfect strategy is pretty much unavailable at this time, so that's why there is a simpler strategy that's just above it. So 0.58% if you use this strategy, which I will tell you, most people who play Ultimate Texas Hold'em do not know the strategy, which is probably the reason why surprising to find a good game like this. It's about the same as many blackjack games, actually, 0.5% house advantage. So the other piece of advice I'll give you is to limit how much you place on the trip side bet. That has, depending on the pay table, I think the most common one is a 3.5% house edge, which isn't bad for side bets, but ideally you probably don't want to make it, but most people make it. So luckily you don't have to bet the same amount on the trips as you do with the ante bet. So you can bet less than that if you still want to make the bet, which is fine. So I'm going to go over a bit of the strategy here. I do have a video on Ultimate Texas Hold'em, an older video on it. I would recommend you check it out. I'll put a card up on top and a link in the description to that video. which goes into further detail on the strategy as well as a practice session on it. We're gonna do a little bit of it here right now. So this is on from the wizardofodds.com. Uh, the strategy for the first two cards. So when to make so when you're dealt your hand, you're dealt a 2-card hand before any community cards are dealt. You have a choice of raising 4 times your ante bet, 3 times your ante bet, or checking and just seeing the flop for free. So you should never make a 3 times raise. You should always make it the maximum possible 4 times. And you do it with any pair except for pocket deuces. You do it with any ace hand, so ace deuce to ace king. You do it with most kings, so king 5 through king queen, except for king deuce through king 4, which you only raise if it's suited. You do it for queen 8 through queen jack, and queen 6 and queen 7 if they're suited. Jack 10, regardless if it's suited or offsuit, and jack 9 and jack 8 suited. Every other hand you get here, you just check and see the flop for free. If you want to see the rest of the strategy for when to bet after the flop, go ahead and check out the video that I just mentioned. But we're going to go ahead and play a single hand here, just as an example. I do have this is the official practice game that you can play on the Wizard of Odds website. There's even a training mode, so it can warn you if you make a mistake on strategy. So we'll go ahead and do. We'll avoid the trips bet for now, but we'll do equal $5 bets on ante and blind. We'll go ahead and deal 6 and 5. That is a check. 10, 8, 3. This is a junky hand. We'll go ahead and check. And here we made a straight, the 2 and the 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's definitely a. So at this point, when you make it to the river, all you do is you're only allowed to raise 1 time your bet by the river. And on the flop, you could do 2 times. So we'll go ahead and let's do another one. See if we can get one that. Yeah, there we go. Any ace, you should always raise. I think some people probably think this isn't that good enough of a hand. They'll just check. We'll go ahead and raise it. It's 4 times, so we get to see all the cards. And it looks like we won. Pair of deuces and 5s with our ace beats the dealer's deuces and 5s with the king. So there we go. So you can see right here the URL in case you want to practice yourself. And as always, I'll go ahead and check out my video on the game as well. Next is video poker. Probably the one that obviously I'm famous with on my channel, but this is one of the best games specifically for slot players. Now I understand that people like to play slots because it's simple to play. You just sit down and press buttons. And some people might be intimidated with table games, which it shouldn't be, but this is an excellent choice for slot players to migrate to for those that are interested. So video poker, to compare and contrast here, slots will typically have payback percentages ranging from a wide range, actually, but a low of, say, 86% for like penny machines, say, in the Venetian. I'm just making things up here, but up to 98%, most likely you'll find that on reputable online gambling sites. And some land-based sites may have it this high, usually maybe around 95% more so. But information on slot paybacks is on what it's actually set by the casino is very what do you say? It's unknown for the most part, unless you work in the industry. On the other hand, we can tell what video poker payback percentages are simply due to the fact that you can't manipulate a 52 card deck. So the only way that the payback percentage can be adjusted in video poker is through the pay table. So if you know what the most common pay tables are, you can just look at it and determine, oh, okay, with optimal play, 9-6 jacks or better, for example, pays with optimal strategy 99.54%. You know, and so based on my experience, I can tell you right off the bat, the worst video poker machines have a payback percentage of, let's say 94%. Maybe there might be a few that are even worse than that, but that's a 6% house edge roughly. Uh, so that's the worst you can get in video poker, and compared to the worst you can get in slot machines, that's still pretty good. All the way up to right now, the best one you can find, Full Pay Deuces Wild, which a few are remaining in around the Las Vegas Valley. 100.76% house edge. That means with optimal play, you actually can have an advantage over the house if you can find these games. Uh, Now, of course, casinos, I've noticed these days, will not award player points uh, to players' cards on these games, or allow you to participate in certain promotions if you play exclusively these games. So it's becoming, for the purposes of of promotions, it's you might want to mix in some games with a little bit lower payback, but the strategy for video poker, especially if you're brand new, is to practice and seek out the best pay tables in your area, and you can practice online or with a downloadable software with training mode. So I'll show you some examples later. But obviously, if you're new to my channel too, I have a ton of videos on video poker, me playing in practice mode, showing you how I play and showing the mistakes that I make, and what the optimal play is, and describing it as I play along. My Video Poker Genius series, if you want to check it out, I'll go ahead and put a link up on top and in the description. So also, the games can have various types of volatility. So if you want your money to last longer in video poker, you might want to seek out various low volatile games. So jacks are better, and bonus poker are the two with the least amount of volatility. If you want to go after that big win, and you uh, don't mind potentially losing a lot before before you make that hit. The highest volatile games, the most common ones anyway, typically are double double bonus, triple double bonus, and loose deuces. Um, I didn't mention here on the screen here, but traditional deuces wild is somewhere in the middle. So I would call that like a mid volatile game. And as I mentioned up top, the payback percentages, a few games exist in locals casinos surrounding the Las Vegas Strip with paybacks of over 100%. So if you happen to be visiting the Las Vegas area, your best bet to play on video poker would have to be off the Strip someplace. Downtown, I think, has some good ones, but you usually will find the best games in the locals casinos in like Henderson or out in South Summerlin and all those other neighborhoods. Um, but prior to the pandemic, Stations casinos used to have full pay dues as well. They have since removed it. So the best game you'll typically find there is 10-7 double bonus with a theoretical return of 100.17% with optimal strategy. So I'll go ahead and show a few things here. Here is vpfree2.com, which is a good resource to check the different video poker games that are available in your area. Right now, it's showing Las Vegas, and I have here Sam's Town, one of the locals casinos there. One of the few places remaining that has full pay deuces wild, available in nickels, dimes, and quarters. And you can click on the casino to bring further details on like where in the casino it's located, for example. So you've got multi-game, deuces wild, 5 cent to 25 cent. Single hand, MG is multi-game, so it's a multi-game game king. 3 upright, several rows to the side of the ice cream parlor. So just look for the ice cream parlor, look at the side of it, and you'll find those machines, I'm assuming. So, and if you want to practice video poker, I do recommend videopoker.com. It does require a subscription, at least a gold subscription or a pro subscription to get training mode. Otherwise, there are a few free options you could probably find online. The Wizard of Odds, I think, has a free uh, a free application on it on their website that you can play as well with training modes. So there's something for everybody. Next game, craps. So obviously can be a very intimidating game for the beginner. There are lots of different bets out there. Some are good and some are bad. Like and the range of house edge can be quite wild. The worst bets on the craps table have a house edge of 16.67%. If you convert it to, say, like a payback percentage on a slot machine, that's like an 84% payback. And the best games, the best bets on the craps table can have a house edge under 1%. So these are the ones that we're going to be talking about here. So I plan eventually on making a tutorial on craps. So until then, obviously, if you're brand new to that game, there might be some vocabulary and some bets that I'm going to describe here that you may not understand, but we're just going to go through it here. But the best strategy, at least if you're familiar with craps and you know some terminology, keep on listening. The best strategy here is to bet on the pass line, the don't pass, come or the don't come, and back your bet with free odds. So what are free odds? So the odds bet is typically an additional bet that you can make after the point is established for your pass line bet or your don't pass, um, or your come or your don't come bet. And the odds bet has no house advantage. It's a complete 0% house edge. It pays at the true odds for depending on what point number that is. So without the odds bet, the house edge is still pretty low. For the pass and the come bets, 1.41%. For don't pass and don't come, it's just slightly lower at 1.4%. So the don't pass and don't come are technically the best bets at the craps table. But most people prefer to play pass and come because they want to play with the shooter. There's a lot to explain on why that is. So if you're brand new to craps, don't worry about it. I definitely want to make a tutorial video on it as soon as possible. But if you know a little bit about craps, you can understand what I'm saying right here. Just bet the pass, don't pass, come or don't come, any of those bets, and back it up with odds. And other than that, it is the best way to play in terms of having the lowest house edge possible. When you add the odds bet to your pass line bet, for example, it'll lower the total house advantage below that 1.41%. So if you do like single odds, I think it's about 0.7%. So it cuts it down pretty much by half at that point. And other than that, it's best to avoid all other bets at the table. Just play these bets. Now, of course, some people will probably disagree with me, and there are like a couple of other bets maybe that are okay to bet, but other than that, you're never going to get better than these bets here. So I do have the Wizard of Odds craps software up here. We're going to go ahead and play pass line and odds. We'll go ahead and explain a little bit of craps here for you guys. So we'll assume a $5 minimum. We'll do a $5 bet. So this is the come out roll. You'll know it's a come out roll when you see the off puck right here. So the pass line wins if a 7 or 11 is rolled and loses if a 2, 3, or 12 is rolled on the come out roll. Any other number will move the puck over to any of these numbers and mark it as the point. So let's go ahead and do the come out roll. It's a 2, so we automatically lose the pass line. We'll go ahead and try again. And it's a 9, so the puck moves over to the 9 and turns it to the onside. So that is our point. That means now we have to continue rolling the dice until either a 9 is rolled, which we win, that we hit our point, or a 7 is rolled, in which we lose. But until then, you can actually make what is called an odds bet. You can add more money to behind your pass line bet, and that gets paid at true odds. Keep in mind, the pass line pays even money when you win, but your odds bet gets paid at the true odds for that number. So in this case, it's a 9 that we have to roll. And the odds of rolling a 9 before rolling a 7 is, what is it? It's 6 ways to roll a 7, 4 ways to roll a 9. So 6 to 4 against you, or if you narrow it down, it's 3 to 2. So your odds are 3 to 2 against you, but if you do get it, you get paid at 3 to 2 on your odds bet. So I have a $20 bet on the odds, and if a 9 comes, I'll get paid 30 for the odds, and I'll get paid $5 even money for the pass line. So let's continue rolling until we get a 9. It's an 8. And of course, I'm just fast forwarding here. People will be making bets of sorts during these rolls. And it's a 7. We 7 now, so we lost our bet. But that's pretty much how a little introduction to craps. I definitely want to make a proper tutorial video on this in the future. But hopefully you get what's going on here. Now let's go to our last game, Blackjack. Probably the most popular table game in North America. And it's one everybody sees on the movies with card counting and all that stuff. But it's fairly easy game to learn, and the basic strategy, if you can memorize it, you could reduce the casino advantage over time to a pretty fair value. In this case, learning the basic strategy, well, depending on the game you play, blackjack games across casinos can have different rules and when you can double down, or if you're allowed to surrender or not, which is becoming unlikely these days, and whether or not the dealer hits or stands on a soft 17. So not all games are equal, but typically the best rules that you could find these days, especially for a low limit player, if you're lucky enough, will offer a house edge of about 0.5% or less. So you're allowed to double down on any 2 cards. What are some good rules? Blackjack pays 3 to 2. You can double down any 2 cards. Ideally, you want the dealer to stand on a soft 17, but if the dealer might hit on a soft 17, that might be fine. Other than that, the biggest one you should avoid, I bold it and I highlight it here, avoid games that pay 6 to 5 on a blackjack. What that means is if you bet $10 and you're dealt an ace and a 10 value card, you get a 2-card 21, that's a blackjack. You automatically win, assuming the dealer does not have a blackjack as well. And you get paid a little bit more than even money on your bet. 6 to 5 means you get paid 6 for every $5. So for a $10 bet, that's $12. Historically and traditionally, a blackjack pays 3 to 2, or 1.5 times your bet, meaning that you should get paid $15 for that $5 bet. Pretty much the entire Las Vegas Strip pays 6 to 5 now, outside the high limit room. So if you're making a trip to Vegas, don't play on the Strip, because it's pretty much 6 to 5 on pretty much all tables now. And if you're a high roller, then maybe it's fine, because you'll likely will find 3 to 2 at the high limit room. And if you go outside the Strip, or maybe if you're in your local tribal casino, will most likely have 3 to 2. The ones that I've been to, I see on the tables, yeah, they still pay 3 to 2 there. So you're more likely to actually find better blackjack games at your local casino than you are if you were to come to Vegas, especially if you stay on the Strip. So best advice I can give you for blackjack, besides learning basic strategy, is to avoid the tables that pay 6 to 5. And of course, I can't talk about blackjack without talking about card counting. If you learn how to card count, yes, you can turn the odds on your favor. It is a skill, and it is definitely true that you can win with card counting. Of course, the casinos know this, and they are allowed to ban you from the table or from the casino entirely if they catch you doing it. So that's pretty much it. So those are the games we have. We'll go ahead and review here. We have Baccarat, probably the easiest one here. Ultimate Texas Hold'em, Video Poker, Craps, and Blackjack. Those are my 5 games that are good to play when you're at the casino. So we're going to end it off right here. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. Share this video with friends and family. Hit the bell icon to be notified of any future videos or streams. We're going to continue this in the next video. We're going to talk about the bad games to play at the casino. Ooh. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and go make it happen.